Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 163 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to build our new blue science setup. Enjoy! Before we get started, I kind of want to get a fuel depot set up here, because right now we only have the one, and it's way down here. It's interesting we have another depot sending out liquid fuel. I can't think off the top of my head what other process uses liquid fuel. Factory's big enough at that point where I can't even remember what this was connected to. Very little. It's only needed right here. So that's convenient. Basically, right now, every fuel request has to come from this one depot, which means that anytime we set up a new process, that fuel drone has to go a long way before the process can even start. But if we scatter some depots in convenient locations around the factory, then the fuel trucks will have a much shorter distance to travel, and the processes can set up much faster. And I see no reason why we can't put a depot right here. And inventory is going to be very full, because we are maxed out on everything. So let's put that there. And interestingly, because of the way that it's set up, it can't input and output at the same time. So we need to have another depot in here, being the request for, let's say, liquid fuel. And let's put 10 drones on that task. And put another depot right here. Just run the pipe across. And build a bunch more drones. So now this depot will also require fuel. I don't know if it would come from this location or not. And actually, now that I look at it, that is a loop. But I don't think it will. Because even though it's the same resource, they have different uses. So the fuel depot supplies fuel to drones, not to request depots. Only to request depots that need drones, not for the fuel itself. So there shouldn't be a loop here where this fuel will come from down here, this fluid depot here, gets supplied, and then once fuel is in here, it will get supplied to the nearby areas. So if this is correct, there should be a drone on the way with fuel. And there it is, starting the process. So we're still going to have to wait for this thing to get filled up. And that will be a little annoying. But once it is, the whole process should go much faster. And we have a little bit of time, because we still have to build it first. Although I didn't bring much landfill. Is there any extras here? Nope. Oh well. We'll see what we can accomplish. Well, that's going to require quite a bit of space. Wonder what all that explosion is. Just updated a lot of the mods, so I wonder if that's some kind of bug. It's very odd. Well, need more landfill. And actually, taking a train might be faster. But since we're here, we might want to make the request for any additional materials we need. Let's see if I can kind of move this out of the way so we can check all this. Kind of want to go down one by one. We need glass, but don't have it. So we'll put on this one. And say we want glass, -256. And we have copper, yes. Lead, yes. Iron, yes. Tin wire coils, yes. Aluminum is no. So negative 256. I need to check which network this is on if it doesn't send any trains, but we need silver. Not on anything. And then we need electronic circuit boards, which aren't on anything. Well, it looks like the request went through. Negative 256. And that fills up that train. Steel we're sending. Electronic boards we're sending may not have enough. Not sure how many all of these require. But I guess we can check that here. 18. So I guess we have enough. Okay, let's get these resources set up. Glass goes in there. Aluminum. The circuit boards. And silver. I think that's everything. Kind of want to check LTN here. Shipment of aluminum, shipment of circuit boards, shipment of glass, shipment of silver, and the requests are all in there. So they should all make it here. If we come up here, pumping out the white circuits finally. I think that's our first major use of them. Which means a lot of this stuff is firing up now. But I think we kind of previously checked it, and it all seemed like it was running pretty good. And we can come down here for our rarer resources. Aluminum is filling, silver is filling, and glass is filling. Lots of movement. And what does the bus look like? It looks like it's topping off on aluminum. Of course, this easily keeps up with that. Silver we had a large supply of, so that's slowly going down. And silicon is being produced in big chunks. And then it stops. Probably can upgrade silicon production at some point. Actually, we probably can put a belt there now, because I think one belt goes up there and one belt goes there, but when both machines are on at the same time, this belt isn't enough, so we probably can just put a second belt in there, since we have two inputs. But it looks like it's running pretty well, and I created a little priority setup for the catalyst, since we already had like a supply warehouse, so instead of having all this logic go everywhere, all you have to do is say the capacity of the warehouse, and then have connections at each point where they are consumed, and say what the capacity of the warehouse has to be for that to run. So basically the thing with the highest priority will run no matter what, even if the warehouse has 0. And then as the warehouse fills up, the progressively less ideal methods will be enabled until it's hit its set point where they're all turned on. And I had to move some crystal dust around in order to make that happen, so we might find ourselves running out of crystal dust pretty fast, but that's okay. There's logic in place here. And once we consume some nickel, the whole system will be operating properly, and I imagine the longer it runs, the better it will get with all these crystal catalysts. Well, we're about to place a big old red belt, so probably want to grab a bunch of belts for this. And hey, it looks like circuits got here. They're getting sorted, but let's take a train down there. At some point I need to like build a bridge or something so I can drive down here, but for now we'll take the train. So let's run a second red belt up in here. And we'll have to do some undergrounds to make it work right. In fact, these undergrounds don't need to be here at all. Aw, man. Made a mess. But we can make some space by getting rid of some of these lines that aren't really necessary anymore because we have night vision. And this will go down here, and it's annoyingly a little misaligned. But there we go. Well, that's a lot of random crystals. And we're producing dust, but it looks like it's starting to run out. But it is what it is. Let's grab a bunch of landfill and see what we can do with it. And this is probably the closest train we can take to get back. Interesting, I just noticed this train was not updated for the rocket fuel. Well, we can change that. Just sit here for a second. Well, unfortunately it's going to fill up our inventory with junk. Well, hopefully someday I'll remember to come down here and get it. I suppose we can make a sign. Wow, I'm out of iron completely. Well, no sign then. Just have to remember. How much energy is left in this? Well, we have coal if it shuts down. Alright, let's go. There's a couple pieces of coal. I believe it uses the first slots first, so it should use up all of that coal. And it looks like we got all our resources delivered, and it's sorting through them. So how much space did this actually need? Quite a bit. More explosion noises. We're basically down to here. There's no way we brought enough for this. I wonder if that's making that noise because it's like blowing up fish or something. It's very odd. Well, we need to make another trip down there. We'll return to our friend, the ferric chloride train, to get us there quickly. It's so much slower with just the coal. It's amazing how much difference the rocket boosters make. And I'll stop it right there for now. Looks like the fuel is just making it. This could be another place to put a fuel depot, but I don't have any iron to build it with. So we'll just have to leave it like it is for now. And the rocket boosters didn't make it here yet. Oh well. We need to put a little bit more fuel in here. Let's put in an alien artifact. Why not? Well, that got consumed very quickly. Let's put all of them in there. Actually, I'm concerned the train's going to run out of fuel. So let's grab some rocket boosters and just throw it in there. There we go. Okay, do we finally have enough room to place this? Pretty much. But we might want to place this a few squares down to give us room. But nah, it looks like it fits all right. I think this is it. Let's get a power line across the gap. Probably be nice to have a signal right here, just to tell us how that tank is doing without having to hover over it. But we need iron. But luckily, iron is actually nearby now. And it looks like that math is correct for that one. So now we need the other half of this, which we can perhaps modify a little bit. Get rid of that extension to make it more easily fit. Those explosions are so weird. I don't know what's blowing up. So we need to clear out to like right here. And then we can place this in here. Like right about there. We had some connections to make. Well, the nitrogen comes through there. And that's connected. This top one is fuel oil. And this other one is the naphtha. And then we had an output of these laser arrays, which combine with the sodium hydroxide coming up there. And then they get sent in. We'll just leave that being a straight line. And I think that's all of those connections. Does the fuel depot have fuel? It does. So we should set up all of the drone requests and get those at least on the way while we're setting everything else up. And where to put them, because we'll need quite a lot. Well, I guess it all depends on exactly where each belt is. And need some hazard concrete here. Wow, explosions even placing these down. And those machines don't line up. Sigh. That's what happens when you're not paying attention. Well, let's pick some of that up. And pick this up. And that should be sufficiently lined up. That's why you always place the hazard concrete first. It's because it's easy to get things misaligned if you don't. Those explosions are so weird. Well, I just updated all the mods, so that's probably why something is different now. Oh well. It's just a minor annoyance, so I'll just deal with it for now. It's not worth spending an hour trying to figure out what's causing it. We got science to make. Looks like we're out of nanobots here. So that was slightly unfortunate getting that wrong. Well, it'd be a little annoying. But we can get the crawler. We'll have to put resources in it to finish this off, but well, if I drive the car up there, I won't have any inventory space to pick it up and bring it back, so we gotta walk. Boo. And we can use the friendly bots to clear out some more trees here too. So what were all the things that needed to come on drones? Well, it looks like right here is sodium hydroxide. Shallow water. Well, there was an explosion, so must have got it. I'll just leave that unhooked for now. But we still want to get it hooked up and get the drone request started. And I believe, because this is a sodium hydroxide request, we need to have this logic in place. So we'll pick it up. Kind of plop it in here. And there we go. This signal needs to be sent along the way. Luckily, we don't have to run it the entire distance, since it's already been run. Because we only have to run it to there. Which should have inverted this setup. And it looks like it did. It's no longer making requests for this depot, and they're going in here. And yeah, the number's kind of large here because I had a setting wrong, so we produced way too much sodium hydroxide. Setting's been fixed, but it'll be a while before that number goes back down. And the quantity of sodium hydroxide is actually fairly high. So I'm going to set this to 2,000. And put 5 drones in here. So, does the fuel oil come from over here? It does. So that's a much shorter distance. So we can see this operate much sooner. That's much better, but it only sent 1 truck. Is that because there's only 1 truck's worth of resources down here? Yeah. That's not good. That has to be updated. Well, put that on the back burner for now. Let's get any other resources we need in here. Resources by drone, anyway. I believe it is oxygen out, fuel oil in, mineral oil out, raw gas out, sulfuric wastewater out, and condensates in. Kind of a lot going on there. So we need 6 drones worth. The question is how to get all of these pipes down there. Well, we've got all of these here. Could go the long way around, but I think we can squeeze this in here. We can always move these labs if they end up being in the way. But if I remember, that was 6 pipes for 6 resources. Alright, well, let's start with the one closest to the end here. And that looks like it is oxygen. And then the next one is the sulfuric wastewater. Although it looks like these things are lined up a little differently, so instead of sulfuric wastewater, let's do the fuel oil. And then the mineral oil, raw gas, and then we do the wastewater, and finally condensates. Ah yes, we needed to do the output for the residuals, and I believe we also needed the input of sulfur, which looks like it's already coming up through there. Well, if that's the case, we can use this little spot over here for the residuals. Hooray for leaving open squares, so we have room for belts to come through here. Shallow water. That is real invisible. Oh, we have to go over that patch. Well, we'll move it if it gets in the way. So we'll do the depot with the rider on there just to make sure it's not on until residuals are bigger than a drone. Looks like a jellyfish got stuck underground. There we go. Well, then there was that sulfur, which comes up through here. And we'll just have to zigzag a little bit. 5 drones, and it's nice and close. So it starts quickly. I'll just leave it unhooked for now so we can turn everything on in the end and see how it all works. Okay, we need a bunch of depots, and they will be an annoying combination of fluid depots and regular depots. Let's see. They can be a regular depot for request, but they have to be a fluid depot for a supply. Let's see, based on the position of these buildings, we probably just want to slam them all together. So oxygen is a supply, which means fluid. Fuel oil, which means request. Probably like 5 drones, but we're running out of resources. Looks like it's just steel. Mineral oil, which is a supply. Man, 80 iron for 1 depot. No wonder we keep running out of it. Might help to keep these straight, because we need to have riders on here. But I think we need to have a reader and a writer because it's a fluid depot. Where it's read, read, write, write. And just cross the gap. So this one, oxygen has to be a drone's worth. And then this one was mineral oil. Raw gas. Sulfuric wastewater. That's 5. So what's the last one? The condensates, which is a request. And need more iron. And we'll put our 5 drones in there. Then we'll probably need more pipes. But we can hopefully have all these line up. Well, that does not line up, because it needs to be over here. Hey, looks like the sulfur just got here. And I really hope all these fluids go to the correct place, because it's pretty complicated. We do want to put a barreling pump in here, because we do have all those extra barrels. That we plopped right there. Let's just run a power line up here real fast so it'll quickly operate. And emptied. Then we can get rid of that. Well, since all the fluids are hooked up, we can hook everything else up necessary for it and see how it produces fluids. So we can test the system. So the sulfur comes in. And pumping up the sulfur dioxide gas. And we still have some oxygen left over because we're going to have a surplus. So that's good. Looks like fuel oil is being requested. And more drones are being sent. Because this is a lot of fuel oil to hold on to, but that is okay. I believe we just need to hook up the oil, and we can see all of this craziness happen. And hopefully productivity for all of these will work. Let's put a tank in here. So in case it's not fast enough, this tank will make it much more apparent. And there we go. Hopefully, this is fast enough. But I guess we can put a pump on the end here. Certainly looks like it's going to be fast enough just looking at these numbers. But we can put a pump on the end and see how fast it's actually pumping. Once it gets this drained, anyway. Yeah, it seems to be about 500 a second or so. Plenty. Well, let's hook this up. Let's see, the gas condensates is not showing a correct number. Or is that... it might be at 100% exactly, so we're getting zeros. Because it looks like the numbers are correct. I guess that happens every once in a while where it's exactly 100. But it's running, and both sides are running. At least as fast as this machine will allow. They're not... The setup isn't designed for these to run full blast all the time. It's mainly this one. This line here. The second one is just here to use these gas condensates, and it's actually doing a pretty good job of it. It honestly would help to have some kind of logic here. Just to make sure the byproducts get consumed first, but I'm not sure how to do it in this tight space. Actually, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Because we don't really produce that many of these byproducts, and it's already starting to drain the tank. So, without even doing anything, it looks like it's basically fixing itself. And the reason why the numbers are going up real slow is we just don't need it very fast. But we have naphtha and fuel oil. And let's see, did they go to where they need to go? Yep. And what's happening to our byproducts? Probably should go driving up there and make sure the logic is correct for all of those. It's kind of how you check them. Ah, there's not enough room to drive in there. Is we can just check the pipe contents with the logic and what's inside the actual depots to make sure they match. So that's for mineral oil and it matches. That's for raw gas, it matches. That's for wastewater, and it matches. And we already know that's lined up and that's lined up, so oxygen must be lined up as well. Fantastic. And we got some new resources to send in here. Looks like we can start right here. It's a little messy doing it this way, but whatever, it only wastes a square. Glass. Aluminum. Silver. And the circuit boards. Okay, I think we've got everything hooked up enough to test it here. Guess we'll find out in a second if I'm missing anything. But let's start hooking things up and find out what happens. Seems good so far. In goes the aluminum. And the silver and circuit boards. I guess I could alternate near and far in here. I'm not sure if it would really matter, but let's do it. So the byproducts go over there. Science items go over here. And they will get distributed to where they need to go. So how is this at full blast? Seems good. Using up some of that nitrogen. And we're slowly building up on oxygen. And there those items go, getting distributed. Seems fine. Let's do this other side. iron. And tinned wire. Seems good. I'll do near and far just to have a nice full belt. Copper, lead, and iron. Although, get the belt colors correct. So that was a mistake. These should be near and far. So that's how it was set up. It looks like this has an input of glass that's not hooked up yet. We can do near and far in here. We just need to wait for these machines to empty, and we'll see what it looks like at full power. But those seem to be working. Our sulfur dioxide gas production is working alright. And building up on that oxygen. And looks like these machines caught up. Seems good to me. It's not a perfect ratio, but the 4 output machines are green, and that's what matters. It's a lot of resources going in. It seems to be working. I am worried that these belts of byproducts are going to completely fill up, and we might need 3 of them. Which might require like a sorting warehouse or something. And that'd be kind of annoying. But we'll have to fire up science at full power to find out about that. Well, we can go to the other side. Hook up steel. Seems good. Can probably do near and fars on this one. Okay, let's get the copper inputs. So, silver and glass. And finally, the center resources. So let's see how this works. The giant mixed belt of all these random things. Hopefully it gets sorted properly. It's a lot of moving inserters. But let's see how this works. It looks like it is working. So all this seems mostly green. Sorting the byproducts away. Getting the finished products up here. Making the laser arrays. And glass looks like it's falling behind. Is that because... Yeah, I think we needed more than 1 red belt of glass. Yeah, we needed 35. And I don't know if I want to put a second belt on here. I mean, I probably should. Just to keep it maxed out. Is there space for it? Not really. I didn't line them up in that way. Well, because of that, we are going to need cobalt. So it's going to be like this for some time, if not upgraded. So it probably should be fixed. I mean, I don't even think we have the ability to produce glass that fast. But we can work on that. So the big consumer of glass is this belt right here. So it could probably be its own belt. And it'll be a little messy having a belt of glass up here and then a belt of glass down here. But I don't want to have to move all those belts just for appearance reasons. So let's just put it down here. And then if we need to, we almost certainly will need to, upgrade glass production to get our 35 per second. And the factory will need it for other things, so we probably need even more than that. But for science, we need 35 per second. So let's pipe that in there and see if that helps out. How are the fluids doing? Looks like it's managing. Because these digits are now getting to exactly 100 when they weren't before. I wonder if something got updated that made that happen more readily. Perhaps these should all have 3-digit Nixie tubes now. Just so we can see the 100. There we go. I don't think the rest of those are going to get up to 100, but we'll see. Any ones we see double zeros where it's actually 100, we'll have to put the extra digit on there. The glass caught up. And now we have some good production here. And I believe that means the only thing we're short on is the sodium hydroxide, and when we hook that up, we will have blue science. Well, before we can put the science somewhere, we need a lab to put it in. And the tier 3 requirements are kind of odd. It requires these light sources, but also solar panels. Building these is going to be a little annoying, and we're probably going to need to do things a little differently, because we're going to have 5 science packs now. So we're probably going to have to rebuild this to some extent. Well, I kind of want to pick everything up here. We can use the modules labs as a blueprint for how to handle an increasing number of science packs. But we've got to upgrade all of these labs, and those requirements are far too complex to worry about putting on a bus. But at the same time, we do need to upgrade them. So I kind of want to pick all the labs up, so we know we are done upgrading when all of the labs are out of our inventory. And boy, do we have a lot. Well, each one of them requires 2 spectrum lab, and each one of those requires 5 solar panels, which means we need, yay, 720 large solar panels. Our base certainly has many more than that, but I don't think we have that many actually inside the boxes. And the large solar panels take quite a bit of time to construct. And it looks like we have a partial glass delivery this time. But I have the feeling it's just because glass is slow. Yep, as opposed to silicon is out. So we're probably going to need to drastically increase that production. But we might be able to do that fairly easily with the next tier of glass research. Yes, I believe that we can. It's a little bit locking it off, but it's basically where we add lime to lower the amount of silicon required to make glass. Where are those solar panels? It's been so long. Forgot where they are. Ah, here we go. So 720. I wonder if some speed modules can make this go a lot faster. I'm sure they will. But I think we're going to have a problem here where we're going to run out of glass, because we haven't really used much of it. But we long since disconnected silicon from this output, which means no more glass. So we should probably reconnect it. But it's being produced elsewhere now. I'll just go straight over those boxes. Because who cares? So let's make the silicon request. And we'll need a bunch of drones. Although I think we can get by with significantly less here. Because we just don't need that much of it for the purposes of glass. At least for making solar panels and whatnot. Although after setting that stuff up, I noticed the recipe changed. So perhaps I updated one of the mods. And that recipe got reverted, because I remember I manually changed that. I'll let it continue working on those solar panels for now. I'll have to fix that later. But we still need silicon to make glass for things like lights. So we still should hook this up, even though we'll need much less of it now. Whoa. I want to look at all the colors. So it looks like we're producing a bunch of stuff again. Because we're running out of these catalysts. And it's certainly using the catalysts we have. Looks like the logic is working correctly, where it's sending the catalysts only to make silicon. And it's doing a decent job of it. Overloaded on nickel, but not anything else, so it seems like it's handling itself pretty well. It's just no aluminum. And it's trying. Slowly. Seems fine. We'll have to check up on it, and if we're constantly short on crystal dust, well then I guess we'll have to wash for geodes or something like that. No, we don't have any iron. Ugh, I need to like put those on a bus or something. Because I use so much iron, like 80 iron per depot. Like, hoo boy. That's so much. And let's set this up for like 2,000. And that should fix itself after a while. Meanwhile, it would be nice to increase production. Making glass here. So let's see what we can do with that. Well, looks like we've already got it set up. So our input is 30. Well, instead of by input, let's calculate by factory, because I think we had 120 of these. Yeah. Let's see what we can accomplish. Well, we can't put any modules in there, which is unfortunate. But we can put it in the last machine, I believe. Oh, we can't put productivities in there either? Well, that's annoying. But we can put them in there. Well, here's an example of we can't really easily upgrade this because it's already kind of large. So I think we're just going to have to put up with this production for now. We certainly could upgrade it, but not with the equipment that we have. It's going to take up too much space. I mean, we could extend it down and whatnot, but it's a little slow, but it should catch up over time and then have a nice large buffer. Meanwhile, how's the bus doing? Producing away the best it can. We're really not overloaded on anything except nickel, and it doesn't look like the numbers are going up very fast for anything. So I have the feeling that once we consume that nickel, that this will start to balance out rather nicely. But until we make a request, it will stay clogged. So are the solar panels done yet? Not even close. It looks like it's a shortage on circuit boards. It's actually carbon. That's just gone. Ah, because it's only one drone making the request. Well, hopefully this fixes that. It's probably going to take them quite a while, though, to make that trip. Well, I'm going to pick up a bunch of circuit boards and put them in the machines, so they'll keep making our solar panels. Lots of fixes happening here. Guess that means this bus is not long for this world if it's getting lots of, air quotes, temporary fixes. More patchwork fixes. Well, that's the last of the circuit boards for now. I guess we'll just take what we can get. So we have 210. So a whole nother 510 left, but we'll let that take its course, and we'll build what we can. It's hard to say exactly how many labs we're actually going to need, because I think we kind of had too many for the purposes of just fast research, but not something that can be maintained. So then we're going to need laser arrays and sulfur light sources. Well, we'll need one laser array for every lab. So 72 in total. And 3 times as many for the light sources. Or 216. Which is actually kind of a lot because they're so large. So that should be the 216. So there we go. Now we have lots of stuff to build. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to start consuming blue science and put all this to the test. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.